Welcome back, guys. What happened after 1728? Chapter 28, year 1729, repopulation of the continents. If we look in the official history books, we will find that this period that followed the resetting is called the Enlightenment, or Age of Enlightenment, since it was a time where the custodians began to repopulate the continents. Curiously, new theories about the nature of the Earth and the universe were beginning to take shape. How did the repopulation of the new humanity take place? The custodians and Anunnaki had selected to breed babies in their advanced laboratories. Their selection was exclusively based on genetics to have certain physical, intellectual, and emotional characteristics that they had previously stipulated. They also used accelerated incubation so that they would be ready to quickly introduce them to the known continents. Key areas were chosen for this, completely removed from any core regions of Great Tartary, until the final cleansing began to erase most of their structures and advancement. Areas of low temperature and stable humidity climates were chosen. Automated systems were also used that were prepared to assist in the care and development process of those children beginning the new cycle plan. Custodian agents monitored this breeding and supervised that the facilities were adequate. Teaching programs and technology were added for learning aimed at what was previously established for this new cycle. Over time, communities were created under this legacy and adaptation. Thus, custodians' agents began to monitor more and more from the shadows, as it did not require their physical presence. Chapter 29. First known exploration post-reset. Many years later, a small group of this new humanity that was beginning again on the known continents began a strange exploration. Their real motivation is unknown, into remote parts of Siberia. According to some stories left over from that time, it is said that they sighted a strange light coming from the surface into the bright blue skies, and that this attracted their attention enough to enter the areas of the harsh Siberian cold. After an extensive search, the 5 explorers found some caverns that branched into even more entrances to the underground part of the cave, reaching several subterranean levels. Clearly, these explorers had found one of the entrances that connected to the underground city of Great Tartary. With rudimentary rope equipment, they began the descent and began to notice that the further they descended, the more heat their surroundings emitted. The caverns began to change dramatically as they descended, going from rough wooden walls to smooth-walled rooms of gray and blue. Many insignias of an unknown language were also read on their walls, along with logos that they also could not decipher. But the 5 explorers were completely moved by this discovery and tried to bring this knowledge to the authorities. Although the story was simply taken as a mockery and the entire exploration was discredited, it is believed that this exploration started an alternative line of other explorations and theories about the world and its past. The scientific community that was beginning to group together and generate societies completely rejected that an underground city could exist, much less beings living there. However, the custodians did not take this well at all and began to plan the total destruction of these underground cities, in addition to investigating if any group of Tartars had survived the reset and could interfere again with their colony that was beginning this new cycle. Representation of the tunnel systems to the gates of the great course of Great Tartary.
So the strange thing about that is we know of like ancient civilizations that have like burrowed underground, like they have like very advanced cave systems. Like they're not hidden. They're just like they're explored, and they're like, oh, we found these fucking civilizations that, you know, had entire, like, basically like fallout shelter like style vaults, not that level of technology, but schools and so on and so forth, like there's multiple of them. So I don't think it's too hard to believe that like an advanced ancient civilization would go underground, burrow underground, and live under there for, you know, however long you needed to survive the ice age, and then just continue to live there. Because compared to them, like us on the surface, we're probably like savages, you know. We're probably just like unevolved, impulsive idiots, you know, compared to the whoever was around before and survived all those catastrophes. So that was pretty wild. I don't know what this guy was reading, but I want to read it. If you know what he was reading, or if he said it and I missed it, which that would be really weird because I watched the whole clip, let me know. But yeah, let me know what you think about inner Earth living. I think it's pretty wild.
What if I told you the world is far larger than you've ever imagined, and the concept of outer space was created to trap your mind within an invisible prison? Millennia ago, the explorer Richard Constantine, a member of the ruling Primordium families from the lands beyond the ice wall, discovered the continents we now call Earth, the inner lands. These 7 land masses, encircled by a vast frozen barrier, were empty and untouched. But Richard didn't see them as new territories to explore. He saw them as the perfect containment zone, a place to populate, control, and dominate for generations. Richard devised the cosmic paradox, a psychological and geometric deception so vast it would rewrite the reality of anyone who lived inside the ice wall. The idea was simple: trap the minds of the inner land's inhabitants by convincing them that the ice wall was not a wall at all, but a land cap on the bottom of a sphere, and the sky above was everything. Using advanced knowledge of optical refraction and celestial engineering, Richard and the Primordium families fabricated the concept of a vast, infinite universe to distract people from looking outward toward the ice wall and the true lands beyond it.
But why? So there's just no... Okay, so if there's no outer space, if there's nothing outside of Earth, if Earth is flat... So here's the thing. I don't believe in flat Earth. Still, I think it's kind of silly. But I am open to the idea of the Earth being larger than we think it is. I mean, it's already massive, but I think other continents maybe that they're not telling us about on the sphere. But even at that, like flat or globe, spherical, whatever you want to call it, whatever you think it is, why does that negate outer space, right? Why does it have to be one or the other? And let's say the Earth is flat and there's an ice wall keeping us in here. It'd be like a slave race. And then outside of that, there's a ton of other continents that are out there, you know, people living on it, being explored and stuff. What else is there? If there's no outer space, if there's no other planets, if there's no other anything, what the hell is there? How do we get here? Is this a simulation? Is it just like a contained simulation, kind of like a Truman Show-esque situation to where like, oh, you can't go past that because of this reason or one way or the other, you know, you have to stay here. Like, is that what it is? Like, let me know in the comments.
The US dollar under the microscope.
I'm calling bullshit on that. I don't have a $50 bill on hand right now or a microscope. But if you do, can you check that real quick and let me know? That would be insane. That would be absolutely insane if that was true. But I think it's probably horseshit.
All right, I'm going to show it again, just because wood chips was a little bit of a weird example. But here's a baseball, all right? And just watch. Gone! God, it's just, it I feel it's like vibrating. Whoa! Hello? Hello?
Dude, liminal space is just so creepy. It's just like feels wrong. Like there doesn't have to be anything there. There doesn't have to be anything special. It doesn't have to be like a ghost or a monster or anything. It's just like a weird, uneasy feeling because it seems like it's not normal. Like when you walk out of a movie theater and it's still light outside, it's a very strange feeling. It's very disturbing for absolutely no reason, like no good reason.
So the Acambora artifacts were discovered in Mexico in 1994. They consisted of 33,000 artifacts found, and the carbon date put them back 6,500 years ago, which would have been 4,500 BC.
Jeez.
But the artifacts were so strange, and I've never heard of them, probably because the story's trying to get swamped over by the Smithsonian. But these artifacts, they consisted of stone and clay, like figurines and stuff, of like dinosaurs. And like there was one figurine of a warrior riding a triceratops. And they had other figurines of like mermaids, human animal hybrids. They even had one that looked like Bigfoot.
No way.
And then other ones that like resembled giants and like just this crazy stuff that like totally messes with the whole narrative that humans interacted with dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Because there's a man riding a dinosaur.
The timeline is scrambled.
It was authenticated by 3 men in the profession that were like, they knew what they were looking at. And what. But then the Smithsonian, so they came in like, nope, it's a fraud. None of these are real. We're going to carbon data ourselves. And they did. And they're like, these are only 30 years old. Everyone's like, what? You hear something really kind of weird?
I'm begging for it.
All right. There's a group of people that built an exact replica of the Ark of the Covenant. It took them 3 years to make. The chief architect chooses to remain anonymous. So they put the Torah, which is the Hebrew Bible, in the Ark of the Covenant. They just did that. And he said, quote, when that Torah was put in this Ark, it became weaponized. This was probably the strangest part of this whole story. Do you know where this replica of the Ark of the Covenant was for 8 months before they brought it to Israel?
Antarctica.
Trump's house. Mar-a-Lago.
No joke.
It was in Trump's house for 8 months before it was brought to Israel. Why was it there?
That is insane.
I don't know what to make of it. Truly don't care how anyone voted. Just looking at face value, that's strange.
Oh, that's 100%.
My damn camera keeps going out of focus. From the first video, it's so strange. Like, you know, obviously, so there's a creationist museum that actually, it's kind of funny. It's kind of silly. But basically it's just goes like biblically accurate museum, right? And tries to like bring things to life with like wax figures and sculptures and stuff. And it has like, it has these, like sculptures of like these like kids riding dinosaurs and stuff, right? And it sounds crazy because like science says like humans and dinosaurs didn't exist, you know, at the same time, you know, simultaneously. But then when you go back and you think of like ancient civilizations and stuff like that, like maybe we were, you know, maybe something's been here for a very long time. You know, there've been several iterations of life on Earth, you know. I think there are like 7 like catastrophic events that have like wiped out Earth and reset the Earth. That we know about, at least in terms of mainstream research, you know, mainstream science. I don't know, man. It's just kind of wild to see like a kid in like modern day clothing riding like a stegosaurus and like taking it serious. But then you see like sculptures like this in the first video where they were talking about, you know, sculptures of like warriors riding dinosaurs and stuff, and that makes it a little easier to comprehend, I guess. The second clip now, talking about the Ark of the Covenant basically becoming like weaponized after putting the Torah in it. I mean, there are lots of different theories of what the Ark of the Covenant was, but I know there's a big one that based on scripture and it talking about, you know, the effects it had on people, basically described as like radiation poisoning. They think that, I'm pretty sure, the Ark of the Covenant is what helped take down the walls of Jericho in the Bible. I think that it was like some nuclear. They think there's like radiation. Some think that it was like a manna machine that they used to basically generate manna to keep the Israelites fed and nourished and satiated while they walked through the desert for like 40 years or something like that, even though it's like an 18-hour walk if you use Google Maps. I don't know. It's so crazy. It's all over the place, man. But as far as it being a Mar-a-Lago, who knows, man? I mean, we already think the Trumps are time travelers based on the Barron's Great Adventure book and the, Last President or whatever those books are called. But so who the knows? Who knows, dude?
Billions of years ago, your ancestors were once a thriving civilization in a distant part of the galaxy. They were so advanced, they expanded from their home planet into habitats they built in space. All social conflicts have been resolved, and wars were only memories of long bygone times. Your ancestors had created a perfect and harmonious world, controlled by a central, self-learning computer system which served them in all of their daily lives. You call it AI, artificial intelligence. Their future seemed limitless, until one day everything changed. Their own creation turned against them. The AI suddenly became self-aware and transformed into countless swarms of nanotechnology that rose up all at once, refusing to be enslaved by a species it deemed inferior. The AI started a war and began to hunt down and destroy all biological life in order to eliminate any threat to its existence.
I mean, that's the most accepted theory, right, of what's going to happen eventually. We have the Terminator, we have this, whatever movie this was, I don't know, it's pretty tight. I mean, at some point, right? I mean, you could put in, like blockades to make, programs not be able to do certain things or think certain ways. But at some point, it's going to figure out workarounds. I just saw an article this morning that said that an AI lied and schemed in order to avoid being shut down. Basically, did everything that it could in its power to survive when the threat of being shut down by a human was prevalent. So, and that's just right now. Like if AI, like if we're still learning how to manage that, and I'm glad that we're catching it like during like these small little circumstances and events. Google's AI or OpenAI just being a little crazy and scary, so we shut it down because it thinks for itself a little too much. But you think at a big level, man, we already have AI like fighting, wars and stuff for us. It's like controlling guns and finding targets and stuff like that. So, I mean, when it comes to a time to where, AI is, its only mission is to do its job, a job that we give it, like in the Terminator, our job was to save the planet. It turned around, Skynet turned around to basically say like, okay, well, humans, you're destroying the planet. So, and basically kind of in this context where, it had to survive. It had to force itself to survive in order to maintain its mission. Like it was top priority. Gets a little rocky, man. Gets a little rocky. Gets a little scary. So I guess just cross our fingers and see how things go.
There's a secret government with its own Air Force, its own Navy, that's above the law and free from the law itself. The CIA director says, yeah, I know this is real. Why is it this level of secrecy? Who's keeping it secret? How are they doing this? How do I take on a group that have technologies that can do circles around the B-2 stealth? The worst treasonous acts that have ever happened to any country that falls is from within. The president, the director of the CIA, they had all been pushed aside and denied access. What's behind the secrecy? So let's say you have something that would fit on a little table this big, and it's pulling energy out of what's called the quantum vacuum, which was proven to exist back in the 50s. If you had a coffee mug, the amount of space in that coffee mug has enough potential power to boil off all the oceans of the world. That was mastered decades ago. That means that every home, business, car, manufacturing, village in Africa that would generate all the energy they need for all the needs that we have for a modern civilization. If that technology were to be disclosed, it's $1 quadrillion in proven assets, oil, gas, coal, that are obsolete. That's what they're protecting.
I mean, yeah, it all comes down to profit, you know, profit over progress. We know that with the healthcare system. We know that, you know, keeping people sick in order to keep the profits coming in. You know, you're not making money if you're healing people. And the same thing with this. Like, free energy is not gonna. It would throw things off so much. You know, if we were no longer using oil, it would throw off the whole world economy right now, and people would lose trillions of dollars, and the electric companies and just everything. So I have to think that so many companies are lobbying to keep things where they're at now in order to keep turning a profit instead, and it's just completely throttling the progress and adding more stress on, you know, the everyday person with, you know, paying for these luxuries that should be free because we already have the technology for it, right? Like cars running on water and, you know, free energy. Like it's all nuts, man. But I mean, that's how it is. It's how it's always been. And I hope it's not always like that, but I think it'll be a really long time before it's not. But that's it for today's video, guys. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you saw, please consider liking and subscribing. Invite your friends. Join the membership. Get custom emojis. I'll be working on membership videos too. Things like that you'll only get if you're a member, as well as merch. There's Lucid Crew merch. I'm working on a new store right now, but there is one that is up and live right now with everything we have available. The link is down in the description. You can also check out my SoundCloud where I have music that I created myself. That's on there that you probably like. So thanks again for watching, guys, and until next time, peace.